Welcome to Retirement Ramblings. I'm Scott, and today is day 122 on my countdown to retirement. It's also Labor Day. So today, I created a rolling 12-month expense sheet from September 1st, 2024 through August 31st, 2025, so that I could go into Boldin and in the detailed budgeter, I could add in the appropriate values for all the different things that we spend money on over a calendar year and get the most up-to-date numbers into my plan. Then I updated the appropriate account balances that are in Boldin so that we have all the right numbers there. And then I stopped and made lunch, which was a half-a-pound burger for my wife and I that had bacon and American cheese on it. And then we tried a new everything bun, which we've never had before. So it came out pretty tasty. So I was satisfied with it. Then I sat down and I did the analysis of our net worth month over month, just to kind of get an idea of, are we trending in the right way? Because, one of the reasons, in addition to understanding the healthcare situation with Robert F. Kennedy coming on board under the Trump administration, as well as some of the different other changes that were going to be made to healthcare, that was one of my driving factors for, the one more year of working. So I wanted to make sure that the one more year is actually, providing the value that I expect it to. And so we are trending up, month over month. So I'm happy with that. We saw, like a 1.77% increase between, July and August. So I'm good with that. I'm still trying to figure out what's going to happen. Am I going to have to go on Cobra? Am I going to be able to do Obamacare or the ACA? Are the credits definitely going away? All of those kinds of things to be able to bridge, from the end of my employment until I'm able to get on Medicare. So presumably I'm going to have to wait another probably month. I think our company does its annual benefits review and release in October. And so I'm hoping that I can find out, are they going to stay with the same provider, which happens to be Cigna for me, and then I can start talking to them about what it would be for Cobra. Are they going to change plans? And then I have to worry about who's the new provider and whether that provider is good enough, again, to use it for Cobra or what have you. Then I sat down and created an itemized breakdown of all of my trip expenses for the trip that we recently took to the UK, to Belgium, Netherlands, Norway, and Iceland. I summarized those costs by category. And the main purpose was I keep a travel account that's totally dedicated to nothing but travel. And so I move, by understanding what the cost was, I can then take the amount of money that I need out of that account, and then I move it over to our normal accounts so that we don't impact any balances that are associated with our normal accounts in the day-to-day, living of our lives. And so those accounts can do what they need to do. So basically, this particular trip was the most expensive trip we've ever taken in our life. It ended up costing me $17,713.53. And I'm going to give you a quick breakdown of where that money went because, I wanted to know. So cellular and data costs while we were traveling, $211. Clothes that are specific to the trip. And when I say that, we needed to have rain gear, we needed to have some cold weather gear, but the stuff that we bought with the idea that any place that we go where it's cool or there's a potential of raining us out somewhere, we wanted to have clothes that would not ruin that particular day of the vacation. So those clothes for my wife and I ended up costing $1,268.08. And then the cruise itself, and we were in a balcony room, was $9,627.52, which ended up being $437.61 per person per day. So that's way more than I've ever spent on a cruise before. I used to target, although I get that post-pandemic it's hard to do this, but when we traveled in the past, I used to target $100 per person per day as my normal cost structure. Not quadruple that. Anyway, and then the excursions that we went on ended up costing $914.12. And then the flight to get from Atlanta over to the UK, and then one hotel night to stay overnight and then go on to the cruise ship ended up being $2,722.51. And then insurance, which included health insurance, trip cancellation or interruption insurance, and medical transport, was $1,391.56. That said, $908 of that is actually still being able to be used for any other trips that we go on between now and March 31st of 2026. And actually, the health plan actually doesn't end until June 30th of 2026. So any additional trips that we go on, post-retirement, if you will be covered by, with the exception of trip interruption or cancellation insurance, will be covered. So even though I'm putting it against this trip, I know that I can use it moving forward. And then transfers to get from either the ship to the airport or from the airport down to the ship, they ended up costing me $428.11. And then the various visa and security check items that I needed to go where we went was $178.96. And then I bought an action camera, which I'm putting against the trip, but obviously I can use that going forward for anything that I want. That was $846.47. So again, total trip cost was $17,713.53. Won't be spending that kind of money again anytime soon. Then, because like I said, I have a dedicated travel budget, I calculated what I need to move from the travel budget over to our regular accounts, and then I keep some of that money so that I can access it, fairly readily in a money market account that's inside my various accounts. And so from that, I ended up having to put in an order to sell SNSXX, which is the money market fund, to be, which will probably take a day to clear, and then I'll be able to actually move the money that I need over where it needs to go. And then for dinner, I sous vide a large porterhouse steak for 6.5 hours at 125 degrees. And then just because it was very big, I wanted to be able to not have to spend a bunch of time cooking it at the end. So I just let it sous vide and go. It would, it makes it very tender when you do that. And then it brings it up basically to being rare. And then from that point, I can then increase the temperature on the grill to get it up to medium rare, which is what we like. So anyway, I let it run. Then I pulled it, dried off the meat, seasoned the meat, put a little bit of marinade on it that we like, and then ultimately cooked it on the grill on a pretty hot cast iron pan to sear both sides. Probably took 2.5 minutes a side maybe to finish it and get it up to medium rare. And my wife said it was very tender, and so I was happy with that. So anyway, that's my update for today. I hope you have a great Labor Day holiday weekend. And then until tomorrow, take care.